Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Wild at Heart. And this movie came out in 1990, and it's directed by David Lynch, the same director as Eraserhead. And then he went on to direct Blue Velvet and Lost Highway, movies that I really love. And Eraserhead's probably my favorite. I love Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, I remember enjoying. He also did Dune from '84, I believe, which I wasn't really big on. And this movie I thought was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do like the first half better than the second half. I'll come out and say that right away. I just feel as though the first half offered me more and was more enjoyable than the second half because, and without spoiling anything, this movie had a lot of references to a classic movie, and I believe it was David Lynch's favorite movie, and I'm not going to say what that is because I don't want to spoil anything, but once I figured out how many references were in this movie just referring to that film, after a certain point, I started to get a little annoyed. I was like, okay, we can stop now. And I understand what the movie was going for, but I just felt as though it was too much. But still, lots of stuff that I really loved. The opening scene was pretty great, and it grabs your attention very well. And the performances were pretty great. I love Nicolas Cage in this movie. And I feel as though I'm watching a character, not just Nicolas Cage, even though he does have a couple of moments where he gets a little over the top. But I feel as though it fits with the character. And the characters in this movie are very strong and interesting. And there's not a single weak character. Even the side characters I found interesting and enjoyable to see on screen. And I love the stylistic choices in this film. It definitely felt like a David Lynch movie. That is something that I really appreciate, is when you can feel as though a director is leaving their print on a film. Like, I just really love that about this movie. And this movie was nominated for an Oscar, and just one, just for Diane Ladd, if I pronounced that correctly. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for this film, and I thought she did a great job. And Laura Dern, Nicolas Cage, Willem Dafoe, all really great performances, and it really does feel as though you're watching characters who are well written and well realized. And I did feel at points like we're not actually watching human beings, but rather just animals almost. Like humans behaving like animals in a sense, if that makes sense. And I just found that to be really entertaining. And then we get to the second half, and that's where things felt as though they were kind of slowing down. And I wasn't bored by this movie. And this movie is slower than the average film that you could watch, like all of David Lynch's movies from memory. But I don't feel as though that's hurting the pacing of any of his movies, or at least the ones that I enjoyed a lot. Like, I think the only movie where it had this kind of pacing, but I didn't feel as though it was complementary to the entirety of the film, and it just made it feel slow and long, was Inland Empire. And that might be due to the fact that that movie's 3 hours long, where this movie is just 2 hours. Like, it's respectful of your time, and if you're into what it's selling, then I think you'll enjoy it. And it's definitely a bit more upbeat in ways, like not as dark as some of David Lynch's other films. I do feel as though this movie stands out a bit, at the very least. And I do enjoy kind of this dreamlike presentation that the film has. Like, not everything you see is supposed to be taken literally, but rather just supposed to be an expression of certain ideas to explore using these characters. And that's what this movie does pretty well, as well as plenty of other David Lynch films. Eraserhead is like a prime example of that almost, and even Lost Highway has a lot of that. There were also lots of sex scenes in this movie, but in any other movie that might be distracting for me. But in this film, I do feel as though it does serve a purpose for that to happen. And it's mostly just to show off how these characters are acting if you were to commit to a life like this. The climax for this movie was pretty great. I enjoyed that aspect of the film as well. And to get into my issues with this movie, I already mentioned that this movie makes lots of references to a classic movie that I just found to be a little annoying after a while. But there were also a couple of other things that dragged it down for me. And that was, there was one specific scene in this movie that took place in the middle of the film that I just felt was unnecessary. And I also didn't really enjoy the amount of flashbacks that we got in this film. I just felt as though there were too many flashbacks in this film. And I was like, okay, we can stop now. We kind of get it at this point. I just kept showing you flashbacks over and over again. And it was at times just the same flashback over and over again. Like, you're not really adding any new information that wasn't already communicated. And that's about all I have to say about Wild at Heart. It was great, really enjoyed it. Was thinking it was a perfect movie for the first half, and then the second half proved, yeah, this kind of has some flaws for me, but still really enjoyable. And you can watch it on streaming platforms because for the longest time, this movie was pretty difficult to find. It wasn't on any streaming platform, and you couldn't buy it digitally. So you would have to get either one of the DVDs or Blu-rays, which I believe at this point are out of print. So it was kind of a pain to watch it back in the day. But luckily, we finally have a way to watch it, and I just rented it off of Amazon Prime. So I am happy that I was able to watch it. So definitely check this movie out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Wild at Heart an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Wild at Heart and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for One Battle After Another. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.